Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Didikanku with your host, David. Today, we have a very special guest. He is a very experienced HR specialist and psychosythetis coach. His name is Coach Supriadi. So, welcome, Coach Supriadi.
Thank you, David. I'm glad to hear with you and looking forward to discuss more something that we can share with the listeners.
Absolutely. We're very glad to have you, and thank you for your time to come on and share some of your experience and knowledge with our listeners. So, for some of the listeners and audience who don't aren't really familiar with you, could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. Well, actually, I'm a clinical psychologist, but I'm
Wow.
working in an industrial setting as a HR practitioner. Right now, I'm holding a position as a people and development in
Wow.
one of the big company, food and beverage company. And in the other side, I'm also having a career, building my career as a life coach. I'm living in Yogyakarta actually, but working in Jakarta. So I'm always moving from Jakarta to Yogyakarta in every week. But in the pandemic condition, it can be happens, you know.
Right.
Uh, I learned about it starts in 2010 when I first met with transpersonal psychology. That's the first time I know about the psychosynthesis actually, and I learned from three gurus. One is Margaret Rosler from Germany, and the second is maybe in Indonesia. Everyone knows about Dr. Hendro Parbo and also
Yes.
Professor Korkarini from Gajah Mada University. I
Wow.
learned a lot about the transpersonal from them, and I'm very interested. And then in 2010, I took a course about the transpersonal psychology, almost 3 years until 2013 to
Wow.
get the certified as a transpersonalist.
Mm.
It's a long journey, and after that, I'm very excited to do more with the transpersonal psychology and especially in psychosynthesis.
Wow.
That's
Your
a little
journey
bit my
is
background.
wow, your journey is very comprehensive, and it seems like, from the sound of it, like your journey has always been related to psychology and people development. You even work now as a HR practitioner. What got you interested in the beginning to start psychology? You said that you started with clinical psychology.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
was your motivation when you started that?
yeah. Uh, May I say it's an accident because my parents actually drive me to take the psychology because my parents saw that psychology in the future is uh, very needed. It's very
Mm,
promising profession.
yeah. Well, I
So
think right now with this pandemic, it's definitely very needed for a lot of
yeah,
people.
that's right. That's right. Uh, but in the other side, I see that in psychology, in clinical psychology, more focused on a mental health issue,
Mm,
uh, and I need something that is very different, more positivistic,
mm,
not seeing a person as an object that they got diagnosed with mental illness.
I totally relate with you because I also studied clinical psychology.
Wow.
Um, and I actually, in the end, became a teacher, an educator, because same reason as you just mentioned. There was a lot of negativity,
Agree.
and that energy kind of affected me.
Yeah,
So
I agree with it.
I totally relate to that.
Yeah, it's very exhausted actually, helping people with mental illness.
Right.
So that's why I choose to work in an industrial setting, because
Mm,
I thought I can help more people in
right.
a just like a community setting in industry, rather than meet with people one on one to do something therapeutic process. So that's why that's the reason why I that's the reason why I took why I decide to work as a HR in a corporation.
So were a lot of the skills that you learned as a clinical psychologist applicable when you went into HR?
Of course, it's fully applicable when I'm working as an HR, especially the way of thinking, especially the way of thinking, because in clinical setting we learn how to diagnose and then find the root cause, and
Right.
it's something that normal happens in a corporation.
Mm,
And the special things when we are clinician jump in the corporation, actually we can understand the human relation dynamic in an organization setting, and also how the personality impact to the relation and how they perform because of their personalities in a problem or something, so we can address and understand how to help the employee.
right, right. Wow. And then your next part of your journey, you actually continued your development into transformational psychology.
Yep.
And you mentioned three very famous, um, I guess, practitioners or trainers or gurus, as you mentioned. How did you find those people to help mentor you, and what lessons could you share that really resonated with you from them?
Okay. uh, that taught me about that people can always grow,
Right,
people can always change, and every single person has their own capability, that has their own potential to do something that they want to achieve.
mm,
That's the basic things that I learned from them, and especially how to optimize those kind of potential within the individual.
mm,
It's uh, when we're talking about transpersonal or I mean psychosynthesis, especially, it's actually something that actually it's a therapeutic approach in a clinician, but it can be applied in a setting of a life coaching or executive coaching, because
okay,
the perspective in a transpersonal that my gurus taught me is you have to be positive towards your clients. Your
right.
clients have the capability to change their own life. They
Mm,
also have their own resource within their self, especially when we are deepening into their heart. That's
right,
the key that I've learned, and
right.
it's coloring my practices every when I met a client.
Right. I think you mentioned something there that is very important, that everyone does have the capability and ability to be better and to be the best version of themselves. But some people, they might think, oh, maybe this is my limit. maybe I'm too old now, or maybe I started too early, or maybe I didn't get the opportunities that other people got. What would you say to those people as a interpersonal coach here?
Okay. Actually, when we don't know, when we are on a pessimistic mind, we just not maybe we are not ready to see our potential.
Right.
We are not ready to see what capability that we can do.
Mm.
So as a coach, we take a position or a role as a partner to help them to understand, hey, what capability that you can do, what potential that you have, so you can optimize those kind of resource within yourself. So
Mm.
as a psychosynthesis coach, the key is we need to integrate all of our human aspect. So as a
Okay.
coach, we need to facilitate as a coach. Yeah, we need to
Yep.
facilitate coachee how to
Right.
build their capacity to reorient their lives in the direction of meaning and values.
Mm.
Uh, this can happen if the coachee has a strong purpose to the future.
Mm.
So as I want to say that in psychosynthesis coaching practice is we offers the coachee a partnership in building a hope actually. So that's why that's the key how the client or how the coachee build their willingness
Mm.
to
Okay.
deepening the understand of self.
And have you ever met a client or a coachee who maybe wasn't open to this? Like, when, for example, in my experience in coaching, we need to build that relationship and build that trust. And sometimes the client or the coachee themselves, they put up some kind of block.
Yeah.
Like, as a psychosynthesis coach, where you're trying to really fulfill every aspect, have you ever met that kind of client? And
Of course.
how do you break through their shield or their defenses?
Yeah, of course. Almost 85% my clients has this kind of barriers.
Mm.
Uh, Looking the reality of our all aspects need a readiness, needs a willingness from the coachee.
Mm.
Uh, some of my coachee when they met the blocking, you know, uh, coaching actually the basic concept of coaching is we bring people from now to the future,
Right.
but as a coach we have to realize that not all of the people are ready. Maybe they are willing but not ready. Maybe
Mm.
they are willing but not ready to bring them from now to the future because of they have a lot of baggage in their back.
Mm.
So something that we can do is this is I said this is not a therapeutic process because we are still in here and now.
Right.
Uh, we help the coachee to see their past, to understand their history,
Ah,
and then
okay.
accept their history, so they can release the baggage and then go ahead, move forward.
Mm.
It's
So,
it's as simple like that, but uh, the process can be very tough.
right, I'm sure when people kind of go back and, we all have like baggage, traumatic events in our lives.
Yep.
And when we bring those up, it brings up a lot of memories maybe that we've been trying to suppress.
That's true.
Maybe even emotions. It becomes very emotional. Have you had that experience where a client just broke down maybe into tears
Yeah.
and they're going through all that baggage? And then what was the result after that?
Okay. The result after that, actually, they can accept and realize the here and now in the present moment, all of their feelings, all of their thoughts. They can be very present moment. That's
Mhm.
the important things.
Right.
Because if our coachee can feels in the present moment and their thought not already in the present moment, then we can go forward. But
Mm.
if they're not in the present moment, I thought the coaching will not going so smooth, or it is not effective.
Right.
It's
Right.
going to make the client or the coachee in a pain. They will feel so suffer because
Mm.
emotionally, psychologically, that they are not ready to move forward.
So, as a psychosynthetist coach, you need to kind of get them out of the past, bring them into the present, and then prepare them for the future. Is that right?
That's right.
Wow.
When we have this, when we have the client who have a barriers uh, with the past of with their history.
Right, right. And what if they don't have a barrier with the past? Is there a difference in your approach?
Yeah, actually, in psychosynthesis, we are not just talking about the problem, but we focus
Mm,
on the relation self towards soul, spirit, alongside with physical, emotional experience, thought,
mm,
and also mental process. So
mm,
when we have a client who doesn't have an issue in the past or who doesn't have a barrier, so we just deepening on how they experience the present moment. So and then finding the values that they have to prepare to prepare them to get what they want in the future.
mm.
So
So,
in actually, David, in transpersonal psychology, we know that coaching has a coaching model, right? We know
right,
grow, and then we
right,
know still some kind like that of there.
right,
So many coaching model,
right.
but in transpersonal, we don't need the coaching model
Mm.
because
So,
the model of the coaching is depend on the client's condition.
mm. So we
So
need to be more, I guess, as a psychosynthetist coach, you need to be more aware of where the client is mentally.
of course, even the
Whereas,
psychoenergetic level,
right,
we need to understand it. We need to understand in a psychoenergetic level of the mental state from the coachee or the client.
right. Whereas some conventional coaching, for example, business coaching, or or I'm thinking like parenting coaching, and there's a lot of other fields of coaching. They focus more on a certain problem that needs a solution rather than the mental state of that person. Would that be the difference between psychosynthetist and transpersonal
Yep.
compared to other fields?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or or are there other differences as well?
Yeah, that's the different things you put in a simple words actually, because in a psychosynthesis we prepare on a mental state. So when their mental state is on a willingness and the readiness is okay, and then they will change the behavior,
Right.
not because drive by the coach, but it's their own willingness, their own needs to change the behavior to get what they want to be achieved.
Mm.
In
So
in
as
in,
a
in
sorry for interrupting, but
It's okay.
I'm a bit curious here. So as a psychosynthesis coach, it sounds like there's also an element of psychology, and understanding the basics of psychology. So as a psychosynthesis coach, um, are you only asking like deep questions to the coachee, or are you actually doing like analysis of their psyche at the same time?
Yeah, this is interesting question, David. Transpersonal or a psychosynthesis has a unique approach actually.
Right.
We hold the process on the philosophical base.
Mm-hmm.
The When we do coaching, we have to be focused that when we do is helping people to be the best form of themselves.
Right.
It's okay when your client feels comfortable with the process and not getting uncomfortable or being pain, just go ahead. And in psychosynthesis, I mean the working method has many approaches, David. Not
Mm.
only about the asking,
Right.
not only about the asking. We do so we have so many approach. We have so many technique like mindfulness, and then
Mm.
stillness and movement meditation,
Right.
and then we have encounter groups, or we have an inner imagery, art projection. We have several dozen more. It's
Right. Right.
I know it's more when we are doing psychosynthesis, we have more an exercise rather than we're just asking the process. So that's why on a conventional coaching process, we put a time. Okay, we have an hour with client. We say it,
Right.
but in transpersonal, we can do that.
Mm.
We can
Right.
do that.
Wow. So
So
it sounds like there's a lot of different techniques, and I this brings more curiosity to me. I want to ask you and go into detail of every technique and what exactly do you do in these techniques, but I think I'll save those questions for another time. I would
okay.
like to ask, though, however, as a psychosynthesis coach, as someone in HR who really focuses on developing people, what has been the biggest transformation you've seen in your career, in your experience?
Okay. I I have
Using these techniques that you just mentioned.
yeah, I have an experience when I have to work with uh yeah, let's say he is executive president from
Mm,
one of the textile or garment company in
mm,
Indonesia. He has uh, mental condition that you know ADHD in adult.
mm.
So that's my client. They run the in on that position. He can achieve that position because he is the son of the owners.
Okay.
So that's why they can achieve that position so easily.
Mm,
But how they manage their people is very painful for the team. You
right.
know, someone with an ADHD, they very quick to change their mind, to change their own, and that impact to the team, and the team is very exhausted. And
Mm,
for himself, he feels unfulfilled
Right.
because no one can be finished because they change so quickly.
Mm.
I decide to accompany him for 6 months. I'm doing uh, I'm doing coaching every week in the at the after office hour, talking and then doing some exercise. You know, when they when he can put himself in the present moment,
Mm.
it changed the way they manage the team. Sorry,
Right.
he managed the team, and
Right.
the team feels what happened. He
Mm.
changed so quickly.
Mm. So
You know
so this
what I
so
did to
this
him?
so being able to be present and aware affected a lot of people around him.
Yeah, but it start to understand what their values, what his values, what his want, what he want, and then what he make the most fulfilled for the team. That's the focus actually.
Mm.
So I bring him to focus on that, and I bring him to identify what kind of roles that they have, and then synthesize all of the roles into one understanding.
Mm.
So actually, this role is exists.
Right.
Maybe he is as a son, so he don't want make his parents feelings
Like
unwell,
disappointed, for example.
disappointed, and then he has to show that he capable
Right.
as a executive vice president, and then as a person he wants to be loved by the team, by everyone.
As most
That's
people do.
yeah, it's a role inside of us.
Right.
So it's
Right.
I bring him to understand. Hey, you have so many roles that
Mm.
you play in the one time.
Mm.
At the same time, you play so many roles. That's why your mind's so complicated.
Mm.
So I invite him to disidentify with this reality, so he can show that, oh, I have so many roles, this one, and then I invite him to see that which role that you can play are fit with this situation. So he has a control. So he learned about the willingness to control what, to control himself.
Mm. So
Let's
I'm
see.
a bit curious here with what techniques on the techniques you mentioned about psychosythetis that you had to use here to get him to that point.
Yeah, the technique actually developed by Roberto Assagioli.
Mm-hmm.
He's the father of psychosynthesis psychology.
Mm-hmm.
The technique is identification and disidentification.
Okay.
The Roberto Assagioli actually he 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 invite or he teach that to be to growth, you have to disidentify with your current condition, so you
Right.
can choose which one your capability, your potency that can help you to face the challenge in the current condition.
Wow.
We are not facing a challenge in the future.
Right.
That's the important thing.
Right. I mean,
We're
that
facing
sounds like a
the challenge
very,
right now.
sorry, that sounds like a very deep, complicated process. And how was it when he was going through that? Was it a challenge to get him to, you're probably going in very deep into his psyche, into his, as you mentioned, into his own self-awareness. Um, how, because sometimes clients, when you take them too deep, they get a bit overwhelmed. So, are there techniques as a psychosythetis coach that can help? Perhaps you need to stage how deep you're going into this process.
Yeah, actually, we need to understand this client's mental state, so
Okay.
we can go through directly, but we can push the process.
Right.
We can't push the process. So we have as a coach, we have to know right now he's ready to go deeper or not. If
Mm.
he they are not ready, so we have to stop. Give
Right.
it time for the coachee to understand the process, especially to accept that they can go deeper right now.
Mm.
So that's
Okay.
why we can ask him,
Right.
when
Right.
will you ready, and then
Right.
or you can discuss more with me after you're ready. So
Right. Okay.
it will give a time for the coachee actually to think more, to feel deeper what happened with themselves.
Right, right. So it's also you're kind of making sure and saying, so are you comfortable going deeper into this?
Yeah,
And if they say yes, then you dive
then we
into
go.
it. And if they
Yeah,
say, if they hesitate, then are there certain techniques you use to prepare them? Maybe like meditation or some other technique you mentioned earlier, group or some other psychosynthetic techniques that can prepare them to go deeper.
yeah. At the first, actually, we do a mindfulness as the basic
Mm,
basic things to understand what happened with their bodies, what happened with their feelings, what
right,
happened with their thoughts. That's the first thing. That's the first skill actually that the client should uh, acquire. And the
right.
second thing is, we move into the meditation, because in
Okay.
a meditation we can go deeper,
Yep.
especially when we want to talk, or make a higher connection with our heart. uh, the beautiful one in a transpersonal or psychosynthesis is, we are talking about heart self intelligence. It's
Right.
so beautiful how that's the source of potential, and we can address those kind of potential. We can optimize this kind of potential when we are on the meditation state.
Right.
So uh, that's the basic skill actually. So that's
Mm,
why you're right that we need to go step by step, and then the second thing is, I explained that we start from the mindfulness and then the
right.
meditation. It's always, I always doing that
Mm,
before and after the session.
mm,
So it's important, it's important, very important things
mm,
that clients should very understand that, okay, I can have my own time,
right.
even in a 24/7.
Right.
They have no time, but please do that
Right.
on every condition, especially when they are getting mad with their problem.
Right.
Take a
And
time, do mindfulness or do meditation, it will clearing their chattering mind, and
Right,
then they
right.
can connect with their potential.
Right. And I would totally agree with you. It sounds like a very fulfilling process, this psychosynthesis coaching, where you're actually connecting your mind, your soul, your body to fulfill your full potential. And it also reminds me, though, when you talk about step by step, it's just like kind of your own journey where you learned,
Mhm.
starting from a clinical psychologist, you went into
Yeah.
industrial HR, you then found gurus, you went into transpersonal coaching, um, what would we say? Not experience, but knowledge. And it's kind of the same as a learning journey. We're learning about ourselves, and each step we have to take small steps to keep learning and learning and learning. So that's, I think that's a really powerful message, and important message also, just for anyone out there listening. um, you can't you can't get something immediately.
That's
we
right.
have
Yeah,
we
it's a
have to
process.
It's a process. We have to take steps, sometimes baby steps, to finally get to our destination. And I think that's something beautiful that you just mentioned there, the way you mentioned it. So I do have another question, Coach Supriadi. For those people who maybe they're looking to do this psychosynthetist coaching, but they're hesitating, they're not sure, am I
Mhm.
ready to go into my past and face my trauma, face my past baggage? What would you say to those person who are a bit hesitant to engage with you or any other psychosynthetist coach?
In a simple sentence, I would like to say, experience it first.
Mm,
The first window to find the wisdom of what you feel right now, what you experiencing, what your thought right now, is experience it.
mm. That's
Just uh,
that's sweet
just
but simple. That's sweet but
yeah.
simple, and it's
If
very,
if you want
very.
connected deeply with yourself and embrace your true potential that align to the whole universe, uh, yeah, we can't do that without experience it.
Right,
If you want to connect
right,
deeply, then you said that even baby step, we need to experience it.
right,
From those
right,
steps, we will understand.
right,
Am I ready to go forward, or
right.
I choose to stay here?
Right, right. I think you put it in a very sweet and simple context, is try it. I mean, it's just like if you're trying a new food, for example, that you've never
Yeah,
tried before, right? You don't just say, "Hey, it looks ugly. It looks, it doesn't look like it's going to be delicious," and then you try it and you find out, "Wow, I love this."
yeah, that's right.
So the way you
We
put it
don't
is,
know. We
is
don't know if
very
we won't try. We don't know the
exactly,
taste. We don't know this is sweet or
exactly,
sour or
exactly.
hot. Yeah,
So you,
just experience it. Just try it, so you
mm,
can understand. Oh, what happened with myself? Why I can move forward? I have so many planning in my life, but why I can achieve even one achievement, I can get it. So just try it if you
right,
want to feel how psychosynthesis work. Try it,
right.
experience it.
So for all the listeners out there, I think that's the best way to put it. Don't be afraid to try it. Try something new. Get out there. If you feel that you really want to develop, that you want to learn more, don't be afraid to go out there, experience it for yourself, then make a decision. Is it for you? Is it not for you? Thank you so much for that, Coach Supriadi, for that
You
message.
are welcome.
So, we've been talking now. It's almost an hour we've been talking. And I could keep talking and talking, and I want to really go into kind of some of the techniques you mentioned. But it would be great, perhaps in another session, we can go into some of the more specific things. I think
Yeah.
this is just more of a general introduction. But I have one last question for you that I like to ask all my guests at the end. Let's say that your time on in this world has come to an end. You've accomplished everything that you set out to accomplish, and now you're going to move on to a better place. However, you can only leave behind two pearls of wisdom for your friends, everyone in the world that you're leaving behind to remember you by. What would be these two pearls of wisdom?
Be kind to yourself. That's the important thing. It's very important. Yeah, the first one is be kind to yourself, be kind to your soul, be kind to your spirit. And the second thing is always understand what happened and surrounds you. Somehow they teach you a lot rather than you try to reach something far away from us. I
Those are
hope
very good pearls of wisdom.
that's the two pearls that I want to share with everyone.
Those are really good pearls of wisdom, and I said that was the last question, but now I'm curious. How could someone be kind to themselves? What are some examples that people can do to be kind to themselves?
Okay, David, how come you can be kind to yourself if you never understand what happened to your body, what happened to your thought, what happened to your emotion? Maybe someday I can share with you about the wisdom of Javanese people, about how they manage about rasa.
I would love that.
People in Javanese, they classified feelings, so many feelings in Java. But how come they manage it? They can be so calm, they can be so easygoing. It's just because they understand all of their self.
Wow.
Self doesn't mean only psychological things, but self is also physical and psychological condition.
Right.
Maybe
So
sometimes I will share with you
yeah,
what Japanese wisdom teach us, and how come we implement it into coaching sessions.
I was just about to say you've piqued my curiosity even more, and I now have like what, hundreds more questions. And for the listeners who do listen to my podcast, I say this at the end of every podcast that I want to ask more questions. But I also we can save those later for another time. And I hope to be able to have you on as a guest, Coach Supriadi, perhaps in the near future, or when you have time to come back. That would be great. Um,
With pleasure.
so I'm still curious though, and I want to ask this one more. I promise this will be the last
Okay,
one.
no
What is,
problem.
what is the difference with being good to yourself and being selfish?
It's totally different. When
Where
we
is the
say
line? Like where do you draw the line with be do like you said, your pearl of wisdom of be kind to yourself, and where's that line between being kind to yourself and just being selfish?
simply, David, if you're selfish, you're not connected with the universe.
Mm,
If you're good with yourself, with as a good personality, or whatever we say, the differentiation is we are connected with the universe. So we are connected with the people, with the nature. So we don't just think about ourselves. When we selfish, we just think about ourselves.
right,
How I found happiness, how I found comfortable just for us. If we selfish,
right.
but in the other side, sorry, you said good, kind to yourself is you let yourself connected. You let yourself connected with the whole aspect, whole dimension of the universe. That's
Mhm.
the line of the red line between selfish and kind to yourself.
Great. So yeah, for all the listeners out there, um, beware of being kind to yourself, and there is a difference between being selfish, being kind to yourself. I think Coach Supriadi explained that very well. So again, thank you, Coach Supriadi. For those of our listeners or the audience who would like to know more, who would like to connect with you, maybe even engage with you as their psychosynthesis coach, to be able to reach their full potential, mind, body, soul, what's the best way to connect with you?
Okay, the first things I would like to red line, uh, if you want, of if the listeners want to connect deeply with themselves and embrace their true potential, board with conventional coaching approach, willing to explore the real you or the real self to achieve the purpose, then you can connect me through LinkedIn or through Facebook Coach application in Android. It's the simple way, I think, to connect with me.
All right, great. So for everyone who's listening, who does want to connect, who's ready and serious in their development and in finding their true potential, I will leave the link to connect with Coach Supriadi through LinkedIn and through Visa Coach. It will be in the description, so please look for that. So again, thank you very much for your time, Coach Supriadi.
You
It's
are
been a
welcome,
pleasure.
David.
It's been a pleasure having you, and we do hope to have you again in another session to go into some more details.
With
Um,
pleasure.
for the listeners also, if you have comments or if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. And so when Coach Supriadi is kind enough to come join us again, we can perhaps bring up some of those comments and answer some of those questions. So please leave comments. And thank you again for your attention. Thank you again, Coach Supriadi. Bye bye for now. See you at the next session. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.